The Book of Bible Stories by Tomie dePaola. So far, we have done chapters 1 through 10. We are going to be doing chapter 11 today, and maybe 3 or 4 chapters. So I see we have one person, and once we get another person, we will start. So, my hair is a little damp today, but the show must go on, doesn't it? Yes, it must. All right. So, does anybody want to ask any questions? Q&A before we get started? So I will tell you that the Cherry Mahogany channel, the content is generally 99.9% of the content is really meant for adults. All the recent content within the last year has been Christian content or things that have to do with God-based topics, even scapegoat and survivor topics. But I have been led to start this series, Bible Storytime. And yes, it's fine for adults to watch, but it's kid safe. So if you're an adult that's subscribed to this channel or you run into this video, this series, Bible Storytime, can be watched with children of any age because the stories are coming directly from the Bible and it's from a kid's book. And the kid's book I found in the library in the children's section. So it's children safe and it's a Bible-based book. Okay? So that's a little history on this new series. So since no one has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and get started on chapter 11. We are starting the fall of Jericho. Now, 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. The Israelites crossed the Jordan River into the land God had promised them. But before they could settle in their land, they had to defeat their enemies and capture the cities. Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its frightening men. March around the city once with all of your armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets." So Joshua, son of Nun, called the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant of the Lord and have 7 priests carry trumpets in front of it." And he ordered the people, "Advance, march around the city with the armed guard going ahead of the ark of the covenant of the Lord." And the 7 priests carried trumpets in front of it. And he ordered the people, "Advance." So he had the ark of the Lord carried around the city, circling it once. Then the people returned to camp and spent the night there. On the second day, they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. On the seventh day, they got up at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day they circled it 7 times. The seventh time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." When the trumpet sounded, the people shouted. And at the sound of the trumpet, and when the people gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So every man charged straight in, and they took that city. Then they burnt the whole city and everything in it, but they put the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. But Joshua spared Rahab, the prostitute, with her family and all who belonged to her, because she hid the men Joshua had sent as spies to Jericho, and she lives among the Israelites to this day. Now that was an interesting story. Talk about obedience and faith. So the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. Now we are on to chapter 12. Samson and his great strength. Samson led Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See, if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him, so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels, that's 28 pounds, of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson answered her, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh thongs that have not been dried, I will become as weak as any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh thongs that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. With men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the thongs as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes too close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You've made me a fool. You lied to me. Come on now, tell me, how can you be tied?" He said, "If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then with men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the ropes off of his arms as if they were threads. Delilah then said to Samson, "Until now, you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He replied, "If you weave 7 braids of my head into the fabric of the loom and tighten it with a pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened it with the pin. Again, she called out to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom from the fabric. Then she said to him, "How can you say you love me when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you've made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. So he told her everything. no razor has ever been used on my head, he said, because I've been a Nazarite, set apart to God since birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent the words to the rulers of the Philistines. "Come back once more. He's told me everything," she said. So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. Having put her to sleep on her lap, she called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding in the prison. But the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. Now the rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to celebrate, saying, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." While they were in high spirits, they shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to the servant who held his hands, "Put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them." Now, the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there. And on the roof, there were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "O sovereign Lord, remember me. O God, please strengthen me one more time, and let me, with one blow, get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood. Bracing himself against them, his right hand on one and his left hand on the other, Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people that were in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. And that's the tale, the true story of Samson. That's one of my favorite stories in the Bible, actually, because it's never over until God says it's over. Remember that. Now, the last story for today. We are going on to chapter 13. This is about Naomi and Ruth. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem of Judah. And they went to Moab and they lived there. Now, Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah, and the other Ruth. After they lived there for about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion were killed Oh, they died, I'm sorry. And Naomi was left without her 2 sons or her husband. When she heard in Moab, that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, Naomi and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each one of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you as you have shown to your dead and to me. May the Lord grant that each one of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud and said to her, "We will go back with you and your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I'm too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight, then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grow up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has gone out against me." At this they wept again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. So Naomi returned to Moab, accompanied by Ruth, the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Wow. That is the end of chapter 13 and episode 4 of the book of Bible stories. And I look forward to episode 5, because in episode 5, we will be doing David and Goliath. So I look forward to seeing you for the next episode, and I thank anyone who's watching. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.